Guys, it is 5 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to be respectful of your time as well. Now, I don't usually conduct meetings with a microphone on, but Mr. Dillon's in the back. He's recording this meeting for us so that we can put it on social media, just for the other folks that may not could have come today. Then we have another meeting scheduled for next week. And I actually did it on Wednesday. I know that some folks were going, why? It's church night on Wednesday, and yes, hopefully we'll be done before most churches start, but ball games are every night of the week. So Wednesday is the only time that I could keep that from being an excuse, people not being able to come. We've had probably 5 or 6 community meetings on different topics, and there are always topics that people attend, and then there are topics that they don't. Obviously, the calendar is a topic that we've got some folks that actually come and listen. I will tell you, tonight is not my attempt to talk you into anything. I promise. Tonight has been a year-long conversation within the district office. It's been a year-long conversation between myself, Ms. Harris, and multiple superintendents across the state. Research based on, is this best for students? Is this best for staff? It's simply a conversation that I want to have. We all know that things don't go well within our district if we don't have a balance of community support. Now, do I think we're going to make everybody happy? Absolutely not. I never made every kid happy. I don't make all my kids in my home happy. So I don't think everybody's going to be on board. I know it's going to have conflicts with some schedules. It's going to work for some. It's not going to work for others. But before we make the decision, and let me say up front, after these community meetings, I want to send out a survey to all of our folks in our community so that you can basically vote, give your input on what you think about this before it ever gets to the school board. If it comes back that it is 80%, our communities do not want this, then the school board and I will sit down and talk. It's not to say that I wouldn't ask about it again the next year, but obviously if 80% of the community is against it, then we don't need to try to climb that mountain this year. So just tonight, I want to clarify some of the things that have been questioned to me. So I will quickly try to go through some of these things. And here's the timeline process. And we didn't think this up. I didn't think this up overnight. We've been talking about this since about August of last year. And these are the discussions that we've had. Why are we doing this? Why am I even considering this? At the very beginning, COVID shutdowns was a conversation. How do we fix that academic gap? And so the conversations of the 9-2 calendar came up. Learning loss, teacher retention and recruitment. I'm going to be perfectly honest and transparent with you guys. I cannot stand up and tell any person that the main reason for going to this calendar is because it's going to increase test scores and it's going to create A-B schools and an A district. I can't tell you that because the traditional calendar has already proven that we can do that as we are right now. So I'm not going to lie to anybody. We do not have to go to this to be successful. We're already successful. However, one of the main reasons that I thought about this calendar and one of the reasons that we discussed it is that piece on teacher retention and recruitment. I do think that it is helpful for our staff if they're able to come in, have a break. I think it's helpful for students if they're able to come in for 9 weeks and have that 2-week break or have an opportunity to work that intercession week and make extra money. I do think that benefits some of our staff. I do think it benefits the majority of our kids. I think the research shows that it benefits the majority of our kids and the majority of our staff. And so those are some of the reasons that we're bouncing that out there. So we've already done, I've already presented this to the superintendent's teacher leadership team. I've presented it to all the teacher leadership teams at all of our campuses last year. And then we've also pushed it out into the ASD staff survey. When I actually went to the superintendent's teacher leadership team, it was on the agenda as a topic. And before I could get it out of my mouth, everybody in the room said, can we just go to it now? And I said, whoop, we can't go to it now. But we're going to continue the conversation. They were all on board. And I did not expect that, to be quite honest with you. So it has not been voted on. It's not in play. Tonight's simply a conversation. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your concerns as we go forward. 9-2 calendar, just to clarify some things. This means 9 weeks of school, 2 weeks off. It's not a year-round calendar. It's not Corinth's calendar. And if I click on this file, it's going to bring up Corinth's calendar just to prove that it's not Corinth's calendar. And so it is a modified calendar, and you might hear it referred to as a flexible calendar. Corinth's calendar, you actually have 3 weeks off in the fall. On this calendar, you're 9 weeks on and 2 weeks off. On the 9-2 calendar, you have 187 teacher days. That's how many you have on the traditional calendar. On the first day of school for teachers would be July 17th on this particular calendar. By state law, you have to have 180 student days. On the 9-2 calendar, you have 180 student days. First day of school will be July 21st. The 2-week break, so the fall break would start September the 25th, and then you would have intercession that would kick in October the 2nd and run through October the 6th. Now, I had a parent that asked me today, they said, what about that long break in the fall? Currently, we have a fall break. It's on a Friday and a Monday, so it bookends the weekend. Really, that's 2 days for fall break. We're adding 3 days for fall break, and that's it. Intercession, you still have the opportunity to be a part of. So we're not adding just a ton of days as far as the breaks are concerned. In this calendar, as you can see, you have a week off for Thanksgiving still, 2 weeks off for Christmas. You have a 2-week break. That's spring break, March 11th. And then on March 18th, you have the intercession that kicks in. So March 11th through the 22nd, those 2 weeks back to back on that break. And then the last day for students and staff is May the 24th. I do not want to go past Memorial, whether it's next year or the next. We want to get out of school prior to that. So how did we come to this? We actually went to that date and started counting backwards. We had to have 180 student days. By law, we have to get 7 professional development days for our staff. So those are things that I don't have control over. So what I've done is I've taken the yearly calendar and just spread those days out differently than what they have been in the past. How does athletics and activities work on the modified calendar? There's all types of things being said. Competition schedules will run as normal. It does not affect the competition schedule. Football would continue. If you think about spring break right now, we've played baseball during spring break, all spring break long. No different here. They would continue to play football. They would continue to play volleyball. They would continue to run cross country. So those things would continue. Teams that are in season, teams that can currently practice after school can practice anytime during the breaks. Teams that are out of season can schedule practice anytime during the day, but can only practice for the allotted amount of time that they have during the school day. So I gave you an example. We're on a 4x4 block, so 90 minutes is how long you have in fourth block. That's how long you can practice during the intercession week. So still have the same amount of time to practice as you would during school. You can just schedule that anytime throughout the day. You guys have the calendar in front of you. Again, and I told you, our staff is the reason that I want to continue having these conversations about this calendar. When I pushed out the staff survey last year, these are the results that came back. As you can see, if I waited until 22-23 school year, 23-24 school year, then about 72% of our staff were in agreement to jump to that calendar. 26.5% were not. I would say if we got 72% of our staff that's in favor, then we need to continue having those conversations. One of the big concerns that we have, and believe me, this is not an easy change. There's a lot of logistical movements that go with changing the calendar and having intercessions. One of those are, will we have the coaches? Will we have the teachers that will teach these intercessions? According to this right here, you got about 33% of your staff last year that said, no, I don't want to teach anything during those 2 weeks. And you've got about, it looks like 60% that says, yes, I would consider teaching during those 2 weeks. Now, I will say, last year when we put this survey out, COVID money was coming in left over right. And a lot of folks were saying, I don't need the money. It's a different, from year to year, it changes. And this year, inflation has hit. Insurance has increased. Yes, teachers got a pay raise, but I don't know that they're feeling that as much as they wish they were because of the inflation and the things that have changed. Again, this is last year, right at the end of the year. This is the data from that. And this year we will get survey results again. I don't want to tell you that everything is positive because it's not. Again, there's going to be some logistical issues that we've got to work through and some questions that I may not have answers to until we get into the middle of it. But this is some of the responses that we received back on the modified calendar. Why do you find it most valuable? It gives the students more of a break so that they don't get bored so quickly, extra time to help with students that are falling behind academically, a longer fall break. But then there's also some negatives. The longer breaks during the school year, I think it is best to have the days in the summer. Childcare for working parents, athletics, how does that work? Concerns that players may not make it to practice during those intercession weeks. So there are some questions. I don't know until we get into it how players are going to be affected, how band members are going to be affected within that. I will tell you that I have been in conversations for the past year with Lamar County School District, Petal School District. Lamar County is, and I would probably lean more on Lamar because they're spread out like we're spread out. But with Lamar County School District, they have seen no issues and have seen no decline in attendance with athletics or activities since they began. And they've been doing it for 2 years. And I will show you some of their survey results in just a second as well. So what does intercession look like? Until we get fully into it, there are going to be questions that I don't have answers to, and I'll be completely honest with you. Here is best I can answer it right now. Optional days of extended learning by teachers and support staff, administrators, using 21st Century Funds, which is a grant that we have within the district. That grant next year is the last year that we have that grant. We've had that grant for several years, and pretty much we can write for the grant again. I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, but it's close that we're going to get that funding. Designed for remediation, English language arts, math, elective courses. We would run this from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. There are school districts that are doing this that are only running half days. For our community, my perspective right now is our parents in our community need us to run it all day if we're going to do it. Trying to cut it short puts even heavier burden on parents. Breakfast and lunch will be served. Now at Kossuth and Central, there are 2 cafeterias. One of those cafeterias would not be open. We would serve out of one cafeteria all those students that are in the intercession. And I believe that's all we would need. Transportation would be provided. The school district has recently purchased a digital transportation software, which will allow us, and this is one of the reasons, but which would allow us to take the addresses of those students that are wanting to participate in intercession, and we can consolidate bus routes so that we don't have to run every bus in the district for a handful of students. So cutting down on the cost of fuel there. Staff, teachers, assistants, nurses, child nutrition, transportation, they will all receive compensation in addition to their current salary. So I'm not giving Ms. Williams a contract and saying, Ms. Williams, I need you to work 195 days, but I'm only going to pay you for 187 because that's all the state says. No, her contract still says 187 days, and then anything she works above and beyond that, she will be compensated for if she chooses to work intercession. Elective curriculum offerings determined by staff and the number of students enrolled per site. Again, flexibility. I don't know how many staff are going to agree to work during intercession, nor do I know how many students plan on attending. My mind goes to elementary kids because I think that's going to be the heaviest of who's going to attend. With high school kids, I don't think that they're going to be as inclined to attend, but I'll tell you what I would like to see. We're already working with the Alliance and the Commission, and we're trying to find ways that those students can do more internships and apprenticeships during those weeks. Talking with Keytronics and Caterpillar and some of those folks, even small businesses, and saying, hey, this is a great time for they can work with you for an entire week without interruption, unless they have athletics. And they can kind of see what you do and if they like that, if that's the direction they want to go. Each school site will have a coordinator, and that's yet to be chosen. We will cross that bridge when we get there, but each school site will have a coordinator. Contractually, principals, assistant principals, they're already on 235, 240-day contracts. So they would already be working during the intercession time. A sample intercession schedule. Students would start breakfast at 8 to 8:30, and then session 1. So again, ELA, math, remediation, those sessions, we would be rotating those sessions, session 1, session 2, session 3, and we'd have lunch. Your activity rotations, until we know what teachers are going to do it, what coaches are going to be involved, I can't give you exactly what the schedule will look like on each campus, but in my mind, what I would like to see is academics focused on in the morning, and in the afternoon, for lack of a better term, a VBS on steroids, having the opportunity for those students to have music, art, theater. If a coach is there and wants to do a baseball or basketball clinic, have the opportunity to be engaged in some of that. And I think our communities would appreciate that as well. But until we know what coaches and teachers are going to be involved, it's hard to say. I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak. Now, again, it's not in stone. It's simply a conversation.